Good afternoon and welcome to this month's show. I'm Luke McCormack. During today's show, we will discuss progress being made in secure cloud computing in the federal government. With me on today's show are Dave Peters, Associate CIO, Digital Infrastructure Services Center, USDA, Brian Merrick, Director of Cloud Programs, Department of State, Brian Conrad, Acting Director of FedRAMP in the Secure Cloud Portfolio, Technology Transformation Services at GSA, Ryan O'Connell, Principal Security Architect at Snowflake, Matt Chiotti, Chief Security Officer, Public Cloud, Palo Alto Networks, and Brian Dax, Senior Manager, Solutions Engineering at Okta. Well, we're talking about secure cloud, and we've been talking about Cloud Smart for, well over, 3 or 4 years now. We've got $1 billion in the TMF. And if last year didn't teach us anything, it certainly taught us that having a modern technology environment is extremely important. Dave Peters, let's start with you over at USDA. Give us a little state of the state as to what's happening over at USDA these days.
Sure. Thanks, Luke. And good afternoon. And thank you for the opportunity to join this forum today. At USDA, we've really evolved our perspective on cloud from being an emerging technology to really a business tool. We've evolved from that, or we've advanced from an introductory phase more to a growth phase. And as an indicator of that, really the mission areas, the programs are making the decision, what project should go to cloud? What are the priorities of going to cloud? At my office within infrastructure at the CIO, we enable them. We help them buy, we help them implement, we help them manage, but they're business decisions. And that's really an indicator of the maturation of cloud and evolving from an emerging technology to really a strong enabling business tool. At USDA, we expect cloud to grow 20 to 25% this year as a result.
Wow, and USDA, massive organization, and I really do appreciate and thank you for all the work that you're doing for the farmers, the citizens, et cetera, and very much an early adopter of cloud technology early on, and I think an early adopter of using the TMF funds, if I remember right. Yep. Brian Merrick, tell us what's happening with cloud adoption and cloud security over at Department of State.
Well, good day, Luke. Thanks for the opportunity to discuss this topic. Yeah, as you can imagine, it's a challenging environment with over 100,000 users and 275 posts around the world, including 50 different locations around the U.S. So we have a large degree of disparate business needs. And in a similar vein, we've really found that our business units have been propelling modernization of the cloud. And really by letting them focus on those key priority areas, we're able to ensure a much better mission alignment between IT and the business. So in our method of doing this, what we've decided to do is use a shared support model. And that's kind of the secret sauce in terms of how we've been able to propel so much cloud adoption at state in the last couple of years. So by that, what we're doing is providing centrally provisioned enterprise cloud service platforms that still allow our business customers to manage their unique business needs on those platforms. So that gives them access to enterprise license agreements, consistent security configurations and compliance requirements, and also allows them to take the weight off sort of the infrastructure knowledge requirements and let them get to work quickly. So as we do that, you can imagine this is growing rather exponentially. One of our cloud platforms grew with 40 business customers just this last year. And so we're really doing a renewed focus on governance and security as we grow this environment in different states of maturation. We're also really focusing on Agile and really trying to spread Agile concepts throughout the department so that we can get to better enterprise grade modern solutions for our business customers and really propel that movement in the cloud and making it meaningful. And so we're really looking forward to a lot more activity in that space this year.
Yeah, I would imagine that once you have a good, solid, reliable, hardened environment, that DevSecOps play that you're into becomes a lot easier for your customer, so to speak, to adopt that capability and implement those solutions to your business customers, which, quite frankly, as you noted, are all around the world. Brian Conrad, tell us what's happening at FedRAMP. You all have been on quite a journey and quite a tear over the last few years. And again, applaud everything that you're doing over there because now more than ever, so many products and goods and services are trying to get adopted into the cloud. Give us an update as to what's happening.
Good day, Luke. Thanks for having me. You're absolutely right. we've seen an incredible increase in the adoption of FedRAMP, which is marked by both an increase in agency participation and reuse of authorizations. So FedRAMP completed 64 authorizations in FY20, which is 40% more than we completed in FY29. Additionally, the push to the cloud to accommodate a remote workforce, agencies increased their use of FedRAMP and cloud products by 55% within the same time period. We've been on a push to update our existing templates and guidance. We're also pushing automation efforts as well. This is something that we've heard from our stakeholder community that is incredibly important. We're working very closely with NIST on the development of OSCAL, which will end up being a way for security artifacts to be automated. We're also working on a threat-based approach, working with DHS and other agency teams to apply a threat-based methodology to the FedRAMP control baseline to understand which controls protect, detect, and respond to real-world threats. We've also updated our FedRAMP.gov website, which has been really important. It really creates an ease of use for our stakeholders coming in, looking for those, those cloud service providers who are looking to get authorized and those who are, presently in our catalog.
Right, and I would imagine that trying to enter into that environment could be daunting for a product vendor that's just entering into that market, so to speak. So happy to hear about all the automation. I imagine that will make the cycle time much shorter and perhaps even less expensive once you start to get into a fully automated environment. So I'm sure the community is very happy to hear about that. Ryan, tell us what is happening over at Snowflake, big part of this whole conglomerate of a cloud ecosystem.
Yeah, thank you so much, Luke, for having me. Appreciate it. And I'd love to hear the others that have talking about cloud adoption, right? Because that certainly nests nicely in with what Snowflake is aiming for and achieving from having customers adopt us from a cloud perspective. I think really the progress that's being made from a cloud computing perspective, and as more and more agencies adopt cloud computing, right, is really the Snowflake data cloud. I think when we talk about some of the hurdles around secure data sharing and the implications of getting the right information to the right folks at the right time to achieve the mission, this is where that data cloud is really unlocking barriers for customers. And then along with other things like data governance, right? A large effort from a Snowflake perspective for customers to have the right tools in place to secure their critical data. And I think it goes a step beyond that is, the data cloud must happen, right? To proliferate secure data sharing in a variety of different architectures we can talk about later, but, or if that's not achieved, then the promise of things like data science, those types of workloads will remain unfulfilled, right? So I think it's a conversation we certainly have on a daily basis. And trying to break down those siloed analytics world, right? Kind of the status quo of running reports, populating dashboards, et cetera. Now we're looking at transitioning that from customers that are adopting Snowflake, right, into actual data informing people and relationships, right? Building upon those relationships from a data cloud perspective.
Right. I mean, you're talking, having a conversation about this extraction, if you will, and looking at up the value chain. And it didn't go unnoticed, by the way, that both these massive departments talked about what their customers are asking for. It wasn't a build it and they will come type situation. So the pendulum is moving considerably, I would imagine. Matt, how about over at Palo Alto Networks? Give us a state of the status to what's happening.
Well, we've definitely worked with a lot of agencies over the past year. One of the teams that I have the privilege to lead here at Palo Alto Networks is our Unit 42 Cloud Threat Intelligence team. And one of the things we looked at in a recent report was just how much cloud usage has changed amongst agencies pre and post COVID-19 discovery. And what we found is about that level went up by about 83% cloud usage. So we've seen a massive spike in cloud usage. And, the other part of that, I guess, is while cloud usage has spiked within agencies, we actually saw their cloud security incidents grow much faster. That was up about 205%. So, some massive spikes in cloud usage, but more concerning, obviously, is cloud security incidents. So one of the things that we've been able to help several agencies do is to really put in place with our Prisma Cloud platform a single comprehensive platform that gives agencies coverage across both the cloud infrastructure as well as cloud native security. And, we do that by helping generalists to manage security across all of their cloud environments instead of having to learn all the nuances of the different cloud security platforms.
Yeah, and I think what's really important too is what the definition of a cloud is starting to evolve, right? This is either hybrid, on-prem, hybrid, or pure cloud, and that's getting blurry. And I think it's very important to understand that a lot of new technologies out there now that allow that capability to happen, including at Okta, I would imagine, Brian, that identity management, big part of the cloud solution.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Luke. Yeah, to echo a little bit of what Matthew and Ryan were mentioning, just over this past year, we've seen, a lot of the federal customers making a lot more use of the cloud, shifting workloads and really rapidly, standing up applications for efforts, around like COVID response and things like that. And as well as supporting the their employees and customers having to now work from home. Really what we're looking at is at Okta is trying to enable our customers to be able to move quicker by giving them this centralized identity and access management cloud or platform to achieve the mission that agency is really trying to and entrusted to achieve. What we give our customers really is that speed and agility, so they don't have to compromise on security, and they don't have to kind of drag this, for lack of a better term, kind of a bone acre around with them from a legacy standpoint. We're adopting the latest kind of modern authentication methods and security, so that as our customers need to move their applications and their workloads there, they can take advantage of that platform and both move quick and be secure, and at the same time really improve the experience of the citizen or their end customers.
Which is what it's all about at the end of the day. And that identity aspect of this, so very important to be able to account for that, to be able to rely on that, depend on that, as these environments are ever evolving, let's say. Brian Conrad, let's talk about a specific program. You top line several different things that are going on over there. Give us an example of a specific program that you'd like to highlight for the listening audience.
Sure. So actually, we have two that are in front of us right now. We have the transition to NIST 853 Rev 5. That's an ongoing effort, and we get questions in the PMO about that, weekly from our stakeholder environment. Where are we on that? How are we making progress? We're progressing along. As I mentioned, we're using that threat-based approach to look at the additional controls on top of the NIST provided baselines to see, where the value is for, the protect, detect, and defend with regards to additional controls that are built onto the baseline. We're really excited about that. We're really excited about the automation efforts too. There is a lot of interest in our stakeholder community. We have our cloud partners lining up to, participate in pilot programs regarding OSCAL. We look at it as a true value add to the program, not just to the professionals inside the PMO who are doing manual processes, but to our stakeholders as well. One of the big things that we're excited about it is the automatic validation. One of the things that we see from cloud service providers is packages that are missing some things, and those are going through a manual review. If we can get an automated check on that before they come into the PMO, we can work on increasing the velocity of our authorization actions, and that's a win for the government and our cloud service providers.
Absolutely. I'm sure every product company would love to shrink that time down, and certainly all the agencies would love to get those products on board sooner rather than later. The Rev 5, what does that get for the community? If you could just, in layman's terms, once you've completed that, what's the capability that's available then?
So we're looking at the control catalog that NIST provided with NIST 853 and comparing it to the Rev 4 version.
Mm-hmm.
There are additional families of controls that NIST have added. So there'll be additional aspects such as privacy and supply chain risk management that are included in that. We're basically mirroring or copying the process that we use to go from Rev 3 to Rev 4. When we go from Rev 4 to Rev 5, we're involved with the Joint Authorization Board. So the CIOs of GSA, DHS, and DoD will have a look at the proposed baselines. And also, before we publish it, it's going to go out for public comment because, again, we're interested in getting the feedback of our stakeholder community. Our stakeholders are an important part of our ecosystem, and having their feedback on what's happening with the FedRAMP baselines is incredibly important. Also, the transition timeline we're working on, we understand that that's not an easy lift for cloud service providers to go from a Rev 4 to a Rev 5 baseline. So we're taking that into account too when we start our planning, or in our planning.
That secure supply chain piece of it, very important for the ecosystem, no doubt, especially now. Matt, how about over at Palo Alto Networks? Can you give us an example of a program that you've been working on in one of the federal agencies that you'd like to highlight?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we've worked with many, but I'd call out, I can't give the specific names of all of them, obviously for security reasons, but one that's public is, we've worked with DISA. So we've collaborated very closely with DISA on the DSOP Platform 1 Air Force program on helping them to create STIGs around scanning container images. So people might be familiar with Docker, Kubernetes, those types of things. Well, all of the container images in Iron Bank are actually scanned by Prisma Cloud, by the Prisma Cloud platform. So that's one way on the DoD side. Now, on the civilian side, we've helped one specific agency address their multi-cloud compliance and visibility challenges for AWS and Azure. We helped this specific agency to migrate over 700 workloads into the cloud. And now that number is close to 2,000. So we help them with our Prisma Cloud platform to be able to do this with confidence without having to be specialists in each cloud. So those are two that I would highlight. But I really appreciate some of the comments that Brian Conrad made around FedRAMP. We see our friends in GSA as great partners. Our Prisma Cloud platform is now FedRAMP moderate. So we achieved that just the beginning of the year. And we are already in the process of working towards high and then IL4 for our partners within DoD. So it's a great process. And I really think it was something from our perspective that actually helped us get a lot more maturity into the actual Prisma Cloud platform itself.
Fantastic. I love to hear that. And that you mentioned containerization, and you hear that when these agencies are trying to go into a multi-cloud environment or in these hybrid environments, that containerization technology and the security around that becomes such an important part of realizing that capability and making it available. So happy to hear that's being implemented and that you're helping to secure that. All right, we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. You're listening to the Federal Executive Forum on the Federal News Network.